good evening. Happy Monday. I'm getting my video put together late today, my video vlog, my diary entry for DreamSideOut in this 30 days of 30 videos production that I'm doing. I have some more thoughts on the condensation issue. You thought I was going to stop talking about that. First of all, let me say it's not an issue. I'm not posting this because I have a problem with condensation and I don't know what to do about it. And click on my video so that you can hear about my problem with condensation. That's not what the whole thing is. It's just me experimenting, trying to see what's necessary. I mean, I left my van kind of in skeleton mode here in the interior, so I want to really see what goes on behind the walls when I'm living in it, and then apply whatever kind of thing is necessary. And what I found out so far, even on the coldest nights, I mean, we've been down in the low 30s now a couple nights. First of all, I'm perfectly warm and fine in the van. I don't have insulation, wouldn't have really bought me much in terms of personally staying warm, keeping my body warm. My clothing, my bedding, everything else is working great for me. But then again, that's the kind of person I am. I'm more of an outdoors type person anyway. See, I'm wearing my coat right now. My entire back door is open. And it's a little chilly, but that's okay. I'm not even, see, there's my heater. I'm not even using it right now. But anyway, that's just me. Not everybody's like that. But anyway, I want to follow my, the dynamics, I suppose you could say, the heat dynamics inside my van, and kind of see how it works inside of a 7 by 10 by 6.5 tall box. You know, what it takes to live inside of this comfortably. So I noticed that when I go to sleep at night, as I've said in the previous video, I have a couple of panels where there's a little thin layer of condensation on the metal above. Nothing on the sides at all. Nothing at all. When I was up in the mountains the other day, or close to the mountains, I had a little more condensation. But still, it wasn't bad enough to where it was dripping on me and causing a major issue of any kind. So I've decided, I've been thinking about this, and some of the comments I've gotten from people have helped me, have inspired me to think a little bit. So I really appreciate the comments, because some of you have added some interesting thoughts and caused me to kind of think outside of my own little narrow way of thinking. For example, well, let me break it down. There's 3 things that I think I've come up with that I can do about the condensation. One is I can trap the condensation so that it only stays where I want it to be. Number 2, I can try to reduce it from happening by, adding insulation. Or number 3, I can just do nothing because it's not a big crisis yet. But I am curious. I like these kind of things, because this is sort of a science experiment to me as much as it is an art studio. I want to see what's actually going to happen inside here. So I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to take two different types of material. I'm going to use the Tyvek, and I'm going to make a little patch of Tyvek on the ceiling in one place and kind of seal it in. And then I'm going to try something else as well. I bought just some clear plastic. I'm going to see, and this is one of the things I wasn't thinking about before, but I'm starting to kind of change my way of thinking about this a little bit. Because if I seal in those areas, just make them cells, possibly they would become dead air spaces and act as insulation. I mean, the best insulation is air, dead air. That's why we use insulation material in the first place. It's to keep the air from moving, because it's convection that transfers heat through air. So if the air is still, it doesn't transfer as well. And that's what insulation does. It traps little bubbles of air inside of it. And the different types of material like foam and different types of synthetic wool and that kind of thing, the fibers will trap little bubbles of air that won't move, and therefore heat transfer is more difficult through that kind of a substance. You can do the same thing by just removing the air altogether and making a vacuum. Like, that's why a thermos bottle stays warm, because there's a thin space in there where there's no air, and they actually pull all the air out and make a vacuum, so there's no heat transfer through there, or very little. I mean, eventually everything, I mean, there's heat radiates as well as convection. The three ways of heat transfer, remember: convection, radiation, and conductivity. So those are the three ways that heat transfers. So if you can reduce at least one or more of those, you're reducing heat transfer. One of the ways is to reduce convection, and that's what insulation does. So I'm thinking that maybe if I just put a film over one part of that panel up there and sealed it off, maybe it would act as a dead air space. And I'm just curious to see what will happen. You know, what I expect to happen with the Tyvek is that moisture will still condense inside of it, but it'll be trapped in there. And that's one way I was thinking previously of how to deal with insulation. I could just let it happen in there, but just make sure it drips off to the side instead of down on top of me, or it goes where I want it to go. But so far it hasn't been bad at all. But this will be an interesting experiment. I'll just try it, see what happens, and I'll keep you guys posted. So I'm going to stop this little sequence right now and go ahead and set up a test area on my ceiling, and then I'll show it to you when I'm done. And then I've got to edit the video and get this up to you guys sometime tonight. So I've got a lot to do right now, so I'll be right back. All right, my table is a nice little workbench, by the way, in here. Okay, so here's what I came up with, you guys. I put a test sheet of Tyvek. I put it up here, and I made it, sealed it all the way around, okay, so that any moisture that gets in here will get trapped inside the Tyvek. Theoretically, or that's my hypothesis, not even a theory, it's a hypothesis. We'll see what happens. And over here, this is just a waterproof barrier here to create a dead air space between this barrier and the ceiling. The ceiling's highly conductive. There's convection current coming up here from me breathing. Now, will that dead air space act as an insulator between here and the surface of the metal ceiling, enough to maybe eliminate condensation in this area, or at least prevent it from happening right here? We'll see. If the conditions are right tonight, I should get condensation here. I'm hoping I get none here, and I'm hoping there's some trapped in here. Okay, now I got to get this video ready and upload. By the way, I have found others on forums that have had the same problem with the Samsung Galaxy 9 Plus focusing issue. I haven't quite resolved it yet, but I guess it's some sort of issue. I'm reading up on it, so hopefully I'll get it resolved so you won't see me go in and out of focus all the time. But you know, it's the only camera I have to use. I have other cameras. I do have other cameras, but it's more of a hassle to make a video. I gotta get real fancy. So anyway, have a nice Monday evening. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And we'll see how this goes.